Hello everyone. Welcome to the first part of Scientific Reasoning Module 2. This module will focus on fake honey as an issue of food fraud. My name is Huihui Wang. I'm Associate Professor at Department of Agricultural Science Education and Communication, Purdue University. This project, professional development, is part of industry-driven integrated STEM system approach to innovate incubation project. The project is funded by USDA and IFA, and there are 5 modules in this series. The module will use the roadmap to guide your learning experience. The second module focuses on the type of scientific investigation, which is an important component of scientific reasoning. Scientific investigation involves process of inquiry, experimentation, evidence evaluations, inference, and interpreting results that support or refute the hypothesis. Module 2 is divided into 2 parts. In the first part, we will focus on making observations in a scientific investigations. Have you thought about the differences between making an observations and conducting experimentations? There are different types of observation. For example, investigators use their sense, like touch, to conduct observation. In this type of observation, investigators document what they see, hear, or even taste. Sometimes, investigators can also use tool or instrument such as microscope to help them observe things that might not be able to see from our eyes. Observation can also mean that investigators consciously isolate certain aspects of phenomena from their natural surroundings or from existing data to gather information. For example, a biologist classified microorganisms that she found in a cornfield to determine what type of soil that we have in Indiana. Or a civil engineer compares city map to study how West Lafayette sewer systems changed from 1915 to 2020. Observation does not involve change any conditions of the phenomena that you study. As for experimentation, it involves investigators consciously and voluntarily alerts the conditions of the phenomenon study. Can you identify what type of scientific investigation involved in those examples? Did you see those examples consciously change the condition of a phenomena study? Let's take a few minutes and think about those questions. Now, do you correctly answer the questions? Let's continually use the concept of food fraud, which we have learned in the Module 1, as a context to continually discuss making observation in a scientific investigation. Remember in the Module 1 that we talk about some common type of food fraud, such as adulterations, substitutions, dilutions, mislabeling, and so on. This graph shows food that most vulnerable to food fraud, and honey is one of them. Do you like honey? Do you use honey or consume food products that have honey in your daily life? You might not realize how much your daily diet actually contains honey. Beekeepers across the United States report 45.5% colony lost from April 2020 to April 2021. Population of bees around the world were observed declining at a very dangerous rate. Honey production in 2021 was down in 14% from 2020, and honey prices increased 21% during 2021. In 2021, US consumers report a significant increase in honey consumption. This shows that honey demand exceeds supplies around US. This made honey as one of the food that most vulnerable to food fraud. Fake honey is produced in two basic types. One is artificial honey, which is produced completely with sugar or syrups without the involvement of bee. Another type is called adulterated honey. The general composition of the honey has been changed through different processes, for example, including feeding bee with a sugar or syrups during the production stage, adding syrups directly to honey after production, and or mix honey with the different features. This figure shows different types of honey adulterations. As you can see, there are many ways to produce adulterated honey, such as you can add in sugars and syrups directly into honey, or even feeding bees sugars as a food sources instead of let the bees go out and search for nectar or pollens in a natural environment. There are also high new technology that can help you change the substance in your honey. Well, how can you tell if your honey is real? Some experts suggest that when you buy your honey, you should always check the label. The label should tell you where did the honey come from and when was harvested and bottled. The first photo shows an example of honey that I found in my house. I bought this honey from a local beekeeper. It has the sources of flowers, harvest date, and also, of course, it labels pure honey. Yet, we also know that mislabeling from the previous model is a huge or common type of a food fraud. Therefore, only by reading the label probably is not enough, right? So some experts also suggest the phenomena of crystallization. They say if your honey shows crystallizations, as in the photo 2 or 3, then it isn't real honey. But can we trust it? Can we trust that? Now, I'm going to do a 2 test to show the differences between adulterated honey and pure honey. However, I'm not going to tell you what I'm testing, but let's see if you can figure it out based on your observation. In the first test, I call it the drip test. I prepare sample A and B. One is pure and one is adulterated honey. I dipped a chopsticks into each sample and lift the chopstick out at the same time. I observed and record how fast the honey dripped off of each chopsticks. I made the observation, and the observation result is sample A flows longer but drips later. Sample B flows shorter but drips sooner. So I also record those experiments. So please watch the video. In the test 2, I call it paper towel test. I pour few drops of sample A and B on a different pieces of paper towel, and the samples like the size of my thumb fingernail. I observe and record what I saw and the differences between the two samples. Here are the observation results. I observed sample A stay put for a long time, but sample B dripped quickly to the slide. I also record the experiment. Please see the video. Now, can you guess what type of honey adulteration I was testing? Why you think that? What is your evidence? Let's pause for a few minutes and think about this. So now you probably guessed it right. I was testing if there are water added into honey. To prepare this experiment, I purposefully add water into the honey that I bought, which is the sample B, to show the differences between sample A, which is pure honey, that I bought. Now you might think I can test the honey in my house by conducting those two tests. But can you really tell pure or adulterated honey by conducting home testing? Most of home testing methods aim to test only the physical natures or density of honey. It tests the think or thickness of honey, not the purity. Therefore, the test that you found from the YouTube or other websites or internet, which they claim that could tell you the pure or adulterated honey, that's not true. Scientists are still working on developing tests to identify honey adulteration. We will talk more about how scientists set up experiments to test adulterated honey in the next module. Let's reflect on what you learned in this module. Please fill out a reflection question in the Google Classroom. Tell us what you have learned from this module. What type of scientific investigation were used in this module? Were the two tests that I did in this module scientifically enough for you? Why or why not? Did you use your prior knowledge to make an inference for the two tests that I did? Please explain. What inquiry do you have regarding adulterated honey after this module? I hope you enjoyed this module. In the next module, where is the second part of the module 2 that we will focus on scientific experiments to test adulterated honey. Thank you for watching. If you like this module, we also have another module that focuses on the integrated STEM through agricultural food natural resources. Check out the module and the website by clicking the link in this slide. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. Thanks USDA and NIFA for supporting the project. Thanks for the project co-director Dr. Neil Knobloch and the graduate students Brianna Nielsen working with me and give me feedback to the module. Thanks for the Dr. Crystal Hans serves as the content expert for the module. I will see you next time.